Alrighty, here we go. Let's go ahead and start this bad boy up. Oh, all right. So this is the first fuel economy run we're gonna do on the 2023 GMC. Let's go ahead and reset this bad boy. All right, let's go. We are actually headed. Where are we headed today? Actually, I don't know where we're going.
Saratoga Springs.
Oh, we're still in Utah. Are we looking at a house today? Is that what you're doing for me today? Come on. The market's still terrible. I'm just kidding. But yeah, we're actually going to go look at a house. I figured let's go ahead and do a fuel economy run. The truck has 1,600 miles. We've already towed with it. So it's broken in at this point. I might have even done a little bit of wide open throttle. Now you can probably tell my voice. I got sick last week. And man, this thing really just knocked me out. I don't know what it was. I think it was strep throat and something else. But feeling better today. And my wife wants Starbucks, so before we head on the road, we gotta go to Starbucks. Can't skip out on your Starbucks.
It's a snow day.
Yeah, you guys gotta check out these mountains. They look amazing with the, oh yeah. Just look at it. Looks amazing, especially with the clouds hitting the mountains. You can't beat that. So we just drove off the interstate and we're back into the city to get wifey some Starbucks. But I think the trip we're doing is about 30 minutes down, and then we'll probably do some driving around and then come back, and then we will refill. But if you don't know, I do have a 23 GMC Sierra 3500 AT4, and the Duramax diesel is what this one was optioned with. And if you don't know, this truck has a 342 rear axle. So I would say the way that GMC engineered this truck, they really did engineer for really good towing, and unloaded, you get those great shifts from the 10-speed Allison. And having the 10 speeds is just, it's a phenomenal, because it really does keep you within the broadband for the power. And of course, when you're running on the interstate, you get those great RPMs. So it's basically, it's 44 degrees outside. It feels colder than that. And she wants to go through the drive-thru. She's killing us on our fuel economy run. Come on, Hannah. You're just killing us right now. You're gonna give GMC a bad name. I'm just kidding. This will not be the only fuel economy run I do. I promise. We'll do more. And I will say, when I had the Cummins, when you get to that 20 to 30,000 miles, oh my goodness, like it gets really good. I was actually seeing 19 MPGs on the highway, and even in the city I was starting to really get around like 16, 17, and I mean that wasn't really even trying in some cases, and that was with a 6-speed transmission, and I was geared out back at 373. So this was definitely a better buy, I think, for guys who don't tow as much as I do. But we'll see how it all shakes out. Let's have a quick discussion. Whenever I do my tire pressure, I like to max out front and rear at whatever the tire says. Now, some people don't do that because it does ride a little bit rougher. However, two reasons why I do that is the way that I read in my research is when you do max PSIs on tires, that gives you maximum capacity. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's what I've gathered. Number two, when you have max air pressure, you have a lower rolling resistance in the tires. So that's gonna hopefully help with fuel economy. So like I said, let me know in the comment section what you guys think about that. And let's get back to the video. Alrighty, we are done getting Starbucks, and here's where we are. So 2.7, 7.9. I kind of wish they had like a time on it. That way you guys can have an idea of how much we've been sitting and driving, all that good stuff. But we're gonna go ahead and head to the highway.
Please proceed to the highlighted road.
And how far is it? So we're gonna be driving 18 miles. And like I said, we'll check back in once we get close. We're on the highway right now, and we're running at about 75 miles an hour in cruise. And as you can see, the instant is showing about 12 to 11. We're going uphill actually right here. But we were running about 20 MPG on flat road. So it's pretty easy to get good gas miles when you have this type of setup. I mean, as I said, the way that GM geared this truck, it's like almost perfect. Like this is the perfect diesel option to have. And let's see here. My goal, let me just kind of give you my perspective. So far driving the truck, I've only really driven it in the city, so I'm kind of glad we're getting on the highway because diesels are horrible to drive in the city. Like, if you live in the city and you don't tow that much, get the gas, 100%, because you're gonna have a bunch of problems if you keep it for a long time. So right now, we're a little bit flat right now. It's running around 15 to 18. And see right there is get back up to almost 22, but we're about to go uphill yet again. But yeah, this transmission is so smooth. And as I've said in the past, having an IFS, I'm not a huge fan of it. I do prefer the solid front axle. But the IFS unloaded does ride really, really good. And I will be doing some towing videos to give you my impressions on how well the truck handles a trailer with this type of suspension setup. We were only on the highway for about 5 minutes or so. Now we're jumping off. And as I mentioned, I was doing about 75 miles an hour. We were doing a little bit of grade climbing. So I will check with you guys in a little bit to show you what the feeling comments once we get to our destination. But yeah, what do you think about the drive?
Smooth.
It's smooth. The steering feel is pretty tight. It's hit or miss, I feel like, with these. I feel like sometimes they're really loose and then sometimes they're really tight. I guess it depends on who built it that day. We're back on the highway doing 70 miles an hour, basically 71. We're at 1500 RPM. So that's about what I want to say my Ram would have been. It probably may have been around like 1700 RPMs. Now if I jump up to 75, it's about 1600 RPMs. A little windy right now. And we were probably doing about maybe 30% highway, 70% city. And we're at about 16 miles to the gallon. So it's not too bad. But yeah, like I said, if you do a lot of city driving and you're not climbing grades like we have been on this road, I think that you could easily get like 18 to 20 miles to the gallon just cruising on the highway. So now that we're off the highway, we're doing about 50 miles an hour and we're just over 1,000 RPMs at about 1,100. That's what I love about diesels. That's what I love about having more gears. Now it's probably somewhere, let's see. It's in 10th gear. It's definitely in 10th gear at 50 miles an hour. And if you hit the gas, I mean, the transmission is just super fast to react. And again, it's always in the broadband, having all these gears. I do have the exhaust brake on. One thing I'll say is, you guys know how I feel about my exhaust brake. Ram is still the best. But I do notice it now because I haven't driven a Ram so long. The problem is, it's intermittent when it works. Like sometimes it works and I can tell it's on. Like I take my foot off the gas, exhaust brake's on. Like it just shifted down. But the only way that it works is if you have it in cruise control. Sometimes, or I'll say most of the time, you can feel something happening. But it's a little bit of downshift, it's a little bit of exhaust brake, but it's not strong. It doesn't have that confidence that you have. And again, it's intermittent, so I don't know. I think that's going to be like the only low part about this truck is great transmission, but do I have to sacrifice being able to stop this thing? Like right now I'm hitting my brakes. And you can see those downshifts, but they're just very weak. Yeah, it's so smooth, so quick. And you don't feel them at all. Like the transmission is just, that is the highlight of this truck. It's so smooth. It's like you're driving a half ton or a car. All right, I figured I'd show you guys one of the houses we were looking at. This is not one we were gonna buy. This is probably way too expensive for us. I'm thinking $750. We were looking at Richmond and they're a little bit more in our price range, but Utah is just really expensive. But this is a really nice house. Check this out. Absolutely amazing. And I can't wait to show you guys the garage. One thing Hannah wants in the next house is black paint windows. Although they don't do it on the inside. You don't care if it's on the inside, right? Yeah, look at this island. Looks like they're going with like a tan or something like that. White cabinets, not bad. I like the pantry. They don't give you that wire crap, which I hate. It looks really good. Yeah, this house is probably $800,000.
This is so wide. This is unheard of.
Yeah, it is very wide. I love how they have this. Is that a Juliet? Yeah, balcony. There you go. Yeah, this is too big. This is huge. Yeah, I've never seen, you know, this type for like a cookie cutter builder, basically. Master. That's an interesting color. I like this color, actually. Wow. The mudroom is essential for our next house. But yeah, check out this garage. It's just a 2-car garage, but it's tandem. So you can actually get a really big truck in here easily, park it right there, and still have a car parked probably behind it too. Tall ceilings for hanging stuff you want to put storage above. Not bad. Beautiful house. It checks every box except it's just too expensive. We're at 68.3 miles driven at 16.1. And we're gonna go ahead and get some fuel so we can see where we are pretty much at. Weather has taken a turn for the worse, and we're gonna head home after that. All right, top it off one last time. Done. There it is. And here is the final miles. 74.4, 16.1. I hope you guys liked the video so far. I took that footage like maybe 3 weeks ago when I was still sick, but I'm really pleased with the fuel economy. I also learned how to do the high idle, but I'm gonna do a winter video for you guys because I have a winter front grille that I need to figure out how to put on. And I also have the engine block heater too, so I wanna do all that in one video. But the truck did great. We drove 74.4 miles and the computer says 16.1. So a lot of people always say on my channel, don't go by the computer, it lies, blah, 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 blah. In a lot of cases when I did it with my RAM, the computer was actually lower than the pump. And in this case here, I got 16.48 miles as an actual. So as you guys saw, I filled up at 4.5 gallons, 4.513 or 12, I can't remember the actual number, but basically that's what it was. And it came out to be 16.48. So if you round that off, it's 16 and a half. So it still shows a little bit better than the computer. And that was with some idling. That was with us sitting at Starbucks. I left the truck running a couple times with the kids in there. And here are some of the highs for the GMC. Matthew Anderson, someone who pretty much comments on just about every video, he made a comment about you don't need lower gearing in the rear because of the 10 speed. And he believes that because of how close the gears are, you're always pretty much in the broadband. Now, I would venture to say if you live in Florida, places like that where it's typically flat, by all means, if you're looking to buy a Ford, they have a 355 and a 331 on the single rear wheels, and you can get a 410 on the dually. Maybe you don't have to get that higher axle ratio out back or lower gearing, however you want to put it. But if you're climbing grades, especially if you get a gas truck, I would recommend just getting the lower gearing out back, especially if you're getting a Ford 7.3. But GM believes the same thing that, you know, Matthew's saying, because they don't allow you to do that because they're figuring the transmission's gearing is good enough to keep you you know, going, especially if you're going up steep grades. The second high on this truck is the fuel tank and DEF size. This has a 36-gallon fuel tank. My Ram only had a 31-gallon, and this has a 7-gallon diesel exhaust fluid tank capacity. My Ram only had like 5.7, so you're going to be able to go further with this one over the Ram, and that's a huge advantage, especially for towing. You cannot get a larger fuel tank, unfortunately. And lastly, I do like the tires. If this was a Ram, I would have already switched off these tires, because the Ram tires, they're not that great. I've towed with them in the past, and if you tow like I do, you'll get about 15,000 miles or less with those tires. Because when I traded in my 2018, that's all I had left. I think I had about 5,000 to 6,000 miles for those things need to be replaced. And I didn't tow that much with that truck, so it was kind of sad. But some of the lows, obviously, I would like to see a higher axle ratio out back, offered lower gearing. Maybe offer a 373 for at least a dually, because not everyone's after fuel economy, and it would be nice to be able to have a lower gear back there, especially if you're going up steep grades with heavy loads, because you could start tugging when you have the gearing too high out back. So in my opinion, I think having the lower gearing might be better for people who are towing with the dually 20,000 pounds in that ballpark. Another low is you don't have the availability to get a larger fuel tank. Now, obviously, that's pretty much across the board for all the single rear wheel trucks, which makes sense. But it would be nice, even if you got a long bed, that you could at least get like a 48-gallon, because that's what Ford does. Ford makes the 48-gallon fuel tank standard, even if you get a gas truck. So that is nice if you are towing long distance, especially if you're going to get a gas truck too. I think that GM could do better, especially with the 2024s having the 10-speed transmission. That's going to be a great option for people who don't want a diesel and don't tow that much. But apart from that, I hope this video was helpful. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on your bell notifications if you want me to respond to your comments, and I'll see you guys soon.